The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) seems to be sanitizing its commission as a state high court in Uyo, Akpabio State, sentenced a professor to 3 years in prison for perjury and publishing false election results. The INEC officer name is Mr. Udwak, a professor of human kinetics at the University of Uyo. He was prosecuted by the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) on charges of perjury and announcing and publishing false results during the 2019 general election in ACN Udem State constituency, where he served as the returning officer. Mr. Udwak was the INEC officer for the Akwa Ibom Northwest Senatorial District election in 2019, in which Godswill Akpabio, who is now the Senate President, was defeated by Christopher Ekpeyong, a former deputy governor of Akwa Ibom State. Mr. Ekpeyong was the People's Democratic Party candidate in the poll, while Mr. Godswill Akpabio was the All Progressive Congress candidate. The event of this election is still fresh in my memory because I remember what happened then. It was the period that Mike Igini, the Akwa Ibom State INEC returning officer, announced himself to Nigerians. INEC has officially announced Chris Ekpeyong of the PDP, who secured 118,215 votes as the winner of that election, ahead of Godswill Akpabio, who got 83,158 votes. But Mr. Udwak, the INEC returning officer, had earlier submitted a handwritten note detailing the incident at the election. He said he was beaten, chased away by thugs in the collation center, and was forced to announce Chris Ekpeyong of the PDP as the winner of that election. But something surprising happened. Less than 24 hours later, he generated another result. Not only did he generate another result, he went ahead to publish that same result he generated, which announced Godswill Akpabio as the winner of that election. Of course, the result of that election was contested in court as Chris Ekpeyong was finally announced as the winner by the Supreme Court. But this same returning officer Udwak had the audacity to appear before the election tribunal to validate that same false election result he had generated. He was even invited by INEC to justify his result, and he did. He even threatened to take INEC to court. In his defense, this is what the professor has to say. "This is my first offense. I am appealing to the court to give me a soft landing, either by fine or state pardon." The professor, who was brought to court in a wheelchair, told the judge, "At 70, I'm going to prison. I was a professor in 2005, but the university forcefully retired me in 2020 because of this case," the professor said, begging the court to pardon him. This is a landmark judgment because I believe and I hope it is going to serve as a deterrent to others. We are experiencing election malpractice in our country in a very high alarming rate. Election malpractice is the reason why Nigeria is underdeveloped, because election malpractice produce incompetent leaders, produce corrupt leaders who think about themselves and not the growth of the nation. Therefore, election malpractice is a capital offense. It is a crime against the country called Nigeria. As a matter of fact, election malpractice is an electoral offense in the INEC Act. So anyone caught in election malpractice should be dealt with accordingly with the law of the land. But however, I think something is really missing. In the Bible, an adulteress was brought to Jesus Christ and they wanted to stone her to death. But Jesus made a statement. He told the people that want to stone the adulteress to death, "If there is none of you that have committed any sin, you should be the first person to pick the stone and stone this woman." And the Bible recorded that every one of them dropped their stone and went their way. The reason why they could not stone the woman is not because they are without sin. It is because many among them patronized that woman. They were the one that committed adultery with that woman. So what I'm trying to say is that that professor did not come up on his own to falsify the election result in Akwa Ibom State. He was induced to falsify that result. And when he announced the result, somebody's name was mentioned, who is Godswill Akpabio. There was a winner that was already announced, who is Chris Ekpeyong. But he went ahead to announce Godswill Akpabio. It means that this man was working for Godswill Akpabio, if we have to look at it literally. So if he was taken to court for falsifying that result, of course we know that INEC took him to court. We know that INEC is trying to uphold her integrity as a commission that is independent, as a commission that is not corrupt. We know that this is what they are trying to show to Nigerians. But then, what happened to the person that was announced as the winner of that election, who is Godswill Akpabio? As much as the law has taken its course in jailing an INEC officer that falsified an election result, the person that induced him to falsify that result should also face the law of the land. If INEC has the power to sue her officials, she also has the power to sue a politician that induced her official. The law cannot prove to be strong in this case if only one person is jailed. The law can only prove to be strong if both parties are jailed. If this is not done, then the judiciary is trying to validate the claim that the law of the land is only weak when the poor masses, the vulnerable, the defenseless are involved. But when they come to the high, the mighty, the powerful, the politicians in our country, our law is weak and blind. The law of the land is sacrosanct. The law of the land is respecter of no one. The law of the land serves everyone equally, irrespective of your moral compass, your social, economic, and political standing in our country. There is no country in the world that will progress, that will prosper with a weak institution and a weak law. The reason why Nigeria seems to be a lawless country, the reason why Nigeria seems to be going down the drain, the reason why Nigeria seems not to be progressing, not to be prospering after years of independence, it is because our law has failed to uphold its integrity. Our law has failed to prove that it is sacrosanct. Our law has failed to prove that it is a respecter of no one. The political class carry out their activities with flagrant disregard of the rule of law. I remember vividly when this Godswill Akpabio-led National Assembly was inaugurated. Senator Bukachua came on the floor of the National Assembly and said that on several counts, he has interfered in the independence of the judiciary. Senator Bukachua's wife was the president of Appeal Court, and he says that he used his position as a husband to secure favorable judgment for his colleague. He said this on the national television and on the floor of the National Assembly. This will show you how our political class has disregarded the law. This will show you how our political class do not have respect for the law. The reason is because the law has become weak. And this is the reason why we keep having election malpractice in our country. Politicians involved in election malpractice because they know that the law is weak. They know that the law will not fish them out. Even if they are fished out, they know that the law will not jail them. It will either end in a long court cases. They will manipulate the judgment by using money to buy off the judges. If the law is a respecter of nobody, if our institutions are strong, if the judiciary is the last hope of the common man, what happened in 2023 will not have happened. The political coup that happened in 2023 will not have happened because the politicians would have been scared that they will be jailed. All their years of service, all their reputation will be destroyed. Look at the professor. He was begging because he is going to prison for 3 years. And he was saying that I'm a professor. I am 70 years of age. You want to send me to prison at this time of my life, at this age that I've attained? Please tamper justice with mercy, because he knew that the law has found him out and the law is acting very strong on him. If this law is acting on everybody, irrespective of your social, economic, or political standing, everyone will be scared of committing crime in our society. But the law has failed to uphold its integrity. That is the reason why we keep seeing crime being committed in our society in large numbers, and the people that are committing this crime in large numbers are our political class. But yet the law is not finding them out. The law is not jailing them. I would have been more happier if the court has sentenced this man to jail and equally sentenced the person he announced as the winner of that election as well. But no, he is the Senate president and the law is blind to the Senate president. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next video.